What's going on, internet people? Da, 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 da. Trying to film this thing in the booth is like that beginning scene in Star Wars. They got that big gray ship that flies forever. And if you ever seen Spaceballs, they kind of parody off that and make the ship even longer. Well, the booth is 24 feet of space. We got a foot and a half, almost 2 feet. At the back we got the same or less. So I might roll this forward. And what we'll do is when the whole truck is done, we'll do the bumper and the hood separate. That way I can do the roof, come from the back forward, do both sides, look nice. We'll do the hood, the bumper separate at another time because we don't want to get dry spots. So it'll be done the next day or 2 days later. Today we're going to clean. I'll be out here till late tonight cleaning, and then we'll tape it, and that'll take, gosh, I don't know, F350. It'll take like a week and a half to tape it. I'm just kidding, but you get the idea. This is a big, nasty truck. Those are 6-foot step ladders, which I got 2 of those. I'm going to keep one here at each side. If you've seen my other videos, I usually got these little 1, 2, 3 foot, 1, 2, 3 step metal stools. And I usually, you set them right here, and that's enough that you can get up over the windshield and go back so far and so on. And anyway, that's how I do all my pickups. But this one is tall, so we got 2 6-foot step ladders in the booth, and when I'm on that, it's gonna be tough to catch that center up above the windshield. We'll get her. It's enough that we can get her. And then we'll probably have to push them halfway, get more of the roof and so on. And then from the back, we can clean up the back. So luckily this is so tall. If anything goes wrong up there, maybe no one will ever know. But all jokes aside, I'm sure it'll turn out great. This is how to do it. Yeah, the ladders are taller than me, and the truck is way taller than me. So we're going to go around, foam tape all the joints and all this. It's going to be the original color. It's called stone metallic something. You can almost see it there, but that's been sanded, so not really. I got a little tape there. I'll clean that up when I'm taping it after. But basically what we did, big tires. So chopped off the fender. The fender flares have been, there's great big wide bushwhacker flares for this. We chopped them the same way, epoxied them all together and did some body work. So now when you cramp the wheel around, you've got room, nothing's going to hit. Where this had twisted the fender and we couldn't get a new fender. Maybe now you can, but when we started the job, shipping issues and all the stuff that happened after the virus, I guess. So anyway, we got it to where it lines up not too bad. It's pretty close enough. We're going with it. There's no rust or rot in it. So the modification of these was pretty straightforward. We just came down the curve and then ran a straight edge down to a corner that I basically just chose out of nowhere, drew a line on it, cut about 3/4 of an inch past, and you fold that in. So you have the normal Ford stuff, and as you keep going, it's pretty similar. Now down here, there's a little bit of a weird buckle. So if this was a show vehicle, I'd cut these and weld them so they're nice and smooth. But in this case, the flare goes into here and out to, like, it's a great big, it's the biggest flares I've ever seen. I assume they're bushwhacker. They could be something else. Down below, we got the stone guard coating, but you can see what we did here. We went super thin at the top. 1 coat, 2 coats, 3 coats. So the reason I did that is because the last inch of this door seemed to have, prior to me getting it, that's where all the damage was from stone chipping and whatnot. And what Toyota does is they actually fade it to nothing. And when you paint it, you don't get that harsh line. Now, in our case, there might be a bit of a line, but it's going to be so minute, people aren't going to notice it. But we still protected the bottom edge of the door. Door bottom's done. right above the prime line there. I'm going to just go a touch ahead of that. We're going to just paint the bottom in. We had to do a little bit of work up there, so we'll blend those in. And then the rockers, I'm going to paint up just past this line. This is the gravel guard from UAP Napa. And the reason I like to use this stuff, and I'm not done, that's not all we used. That's what this last finish is, and it's really, really smooth as far as gravel guard goes. To get it smooth, I don't know if the other gravel guards work good when you drop the pressure. It says to shoot it at like 50, 60 pounds. With the Napa stuff, you can drop it to 30 pounds at the compressor on a 50-foot hose. And this is what you get. So there's a little bit of ripple to it, but it looks almost more like orange peel than gravel guard. So when you open the door to get in the truck and the steps are on it, it's not going to look ugly. Again, we're going to paint it up to the line. It'll look all right, and it's protected. Oh, so below that, you can almost see there's a darker color in this other stuff because, ta-da, that stuff is much rougher, right? You can see that, and it's thick. And basically, we came up to the bottom and just let it come over a bit. And then at the very end, I just ran a quick bead across just to get that edge. So everything, I mean, when you're running tires like that, I don't know. If he goes and hits some of the gravel roads, if the stones come up and hit the bottom, if that gets chipped up a bit, the touch-up pen, it puts little bubbles of paint, right? We all know how touch-up pens work. That'll just kind of suck in. You won't even notice it. But there's a lot of stuff there. So it'll probably keep the chips and the rust away. Now, before I put all this on and we cleaned up the little bit, because it was peeling paint. It wasn't rotten. No metal work was done. But we cleaned it all up. There's a couple places where there was some minor pitting, and I mean, it was really minor. We put some rust treatment on that, cleaned the whole thing up again. That whole bottom edge on both sides is epoxy primed, roughed up, the coating on it, which it's kind of like a thinner, like a rhino liner. And then from here up, gravel guard. So everything's protected, but you still want it to look good. You know, here's, if I can get a little more light back here, you can see the bottom of the door, the shape's still there. So what we did is, where the paint had peeled and they go crappy, we cleaned it up, we treated the rust, re-seam sealed it. Well, I think I primed it first, but then we seam sealed it. And then this is basically gravel guard shot at a normal pressure. And there's about 4 coats on it because let's buy more time. It'll look good for longer, be a little tougher maybe. Anyway, that's what we decided to do on it. I think it'll hold up just fine. This truck isn't going to see salt in winter. It'll be a 3-season truck, which is great. But he'll actually drive it, which is cool. And this truck gets used. So you can see, again, you can kind of see the primer through that top edge. So there may be a bit of a line, but it's going to be faint. Like, it's pretty cool. So we did all that, and we did the same thing. Again, there's 1 coat real thin up to this edge, and then down here it's a little fatter, and about 4 coats on that bottom, because Fords have that flat spot on the bottom, and that's where everything hits. The only metal changed on this truck, the complete wheel arches. Now the fender flares on this truck go against this flat, so we cut the fenders here, and this is where we welded all the new metal on. The upside to that, and this is something, you got to think about everything about the job you're doing. Now in the case of this truck, this is perfect and flat. It's never been hit, it's never been body worked. At least we hope. We hope it's straight. We think it's straight. But so if we have anything weird going on, it'll be in here. But this is all hidden. So you still want to do a good job, but if there is a few wows, you won't see them. Where if you do the traditional thing and put this in and cut it up in the flat, which is what I prefer to do, it's easier to make straighter than messing with all this. But because of where these flares fit, even when we had to reshape a little bit of this, because I think this got banged up down here or something, the flare didn't quite sit tight when the truck was original. It could be that the flares are weird, but what I did is I clipped the flares on the truck and we body worked this until it fit the flares. So when the flares are on, they fit tight because you don't need crap going in here and eating it all up. So in this case, it made sense to do it this way, but 99% of the time, seriously, cut it up here, because this took a lot more body work to finesse that shape than the flat. Moving on. The bumper was like the smooth part of the rockers. We did the Napa treatment, and I pulled the gun back a little further away, so I got a little bit of dimple, but not much. But this was a bumper that had some rough coating on it. So we cleaned it up, epoxy primed it, filler primed it to take away some of the roughness, and then we put our coating on, and it'll look pretty clean. You can see a little primer through it, but this wasn't about coating it. It's already been coated. It was about getting a textured look that's all the same, which I think we achieved. Here, we did the standard gravel guard thing. You can see that. That's what everybody does. You don't really see that when the gate's here, but it's protected. It's nice. Hides any past sins, whatever was done. And again, this truck was clean. Just a lot of scratches and a little bit of peeling here and there in spots from wear and tear. There was no significant rust. Someone had done some weird stuff in here with some kind of coating. Half of it cleaned off, half of it wouldn't come off. It's got some dust in it now, but basically, I believe it's a super thin rubberized undercoating. That's what we ran on the inside of the box. That seems to be what was on there before. So we did the same thing. This is all going to have a plastic liner in it, so we weren't worried about that at all. But it's protected before the liner goes in. I'm going to go around all these joints with a little bit of crown. So all the joints will be oiled, the liner will go in, thing will be awesome. Now we did continue the gravel guard. We went right up this post, didn't go into here, no sense going crazy. And again, it's not crazy, but just enough. There's a texture there. But I mean, it's protected because this is where the liner kind of stops. And, you're going to get chipping. Again, this will all be painted color matched to the truck. So if he takes his pen, does some touch-ups, because it's a little bumpy, the touch-ups will hide in the bumps, right? So a little bit of maintenance. Like, this is a bit of a toy. It's not a show truck. Well, I mean, it's like a weekend car show truck, but it's definitely not it ain't going to SEMA or Autorama, right? We came in these pockets. That's all been coated, protected, epoxy primed, so on and so on. All this stuff should be pretty good. These are all taped up, which they were in primer. I thought we were painting them all the same. Last minute, there was a change. He'd like these to be black, and he may even replace the plastics down the road. So once the truck is painted, we'll pull all that paper off, tape it the opposite way. And now the thing with these plastics, they're in good shape and they're on fairly tight. And sometimes when you take them off and put them on, depending on the pins on the bottom, some come up nice, some don't. All the stuff we pulled off the top of the box rails on this truck didn't come off nice. I'm leaving them on. If he wants to replace them, yank them off, break them off, that's fine, but we're not doing that. I mean, they should be replaced now, but whatever. We'll just do what we're doing, and when the truck's done, I'll come out, tape that off. We'll just spray paint those black. That's all we're going to do with that. So basically, she's got to be washed. Everything's got to be cleaned and wax and grease remover and so on. You can see the mark around here. So any primer or weirdness that got on this plastic was cleaned with a bit of gun wash. There wasn't much, but you just want to make sure that you're not doing that after. Same with these. Now in the case, this one's never been repainted, but had it been, you get a little paint edge up on top of the chrome. Now's the time, take the gun wash it off, and if you wreck the paint here a bit, you can touch that up and paint it and move on, right? So the hood turned out nice. There was a couple dimples here that shot up. Someone had put a bugger on with too long a screw, I guess, and there was two little mountains, so we took care of those, and you'll never see those. There is a bugger going back on, but we're not, we have the short screws now. They were in it already, but I guess at the installation time, originally, that's just what happened. We're going to do the bumper the same color as the truck. There's a big plastic fascia here. That's already painted, ready to go. Same color as the rest of the truck. But this piece here, the grill, is this weird black plastic. I don't know how paintable it is. I mean, everything can be painted, but it just feels like a type that shouldn't be painted. You can get painted grills for these. I just haven't found one yet, so we're just going to leave that black, but I have a feeling, and this is something you run into sometimes. So like people like the murdered out look. So let's say you black something out, black wheels, black door, everything's black. I like that look. However, I saw a great big GMC truck that was done similar to this, and they had like a gray, or was it tan? But they did the door handles, they did everything. They did everything the same color. And because of this, now this has a, what is it, the 7.4 box or something. It's a big box, full crew cab, truck's long. And when you see something that long all in the one color with no breakup, it's kind of weird. Like you'll lose the murdered look and it just looks like a kid drew it with a Crayola crayon. So the handles are going to stay black because they're really clean and nice. His mirrors are like beautiful. He does have those little vent shades up top, and they're the old type, they're stuck to the rubber. So we can tape right around and paint all the way around. No issues there. But the front had so much gray, I'm going to leave the grille black. And if the customer decides it should be colored, fine. I think we're going to probably want it to be black because there's going to be so much gray looking at you that, you know, between the black grille, which isn't big on these trucks, and then the handles, the mirrors, because all the flares and everything are color matched to the truck already. But on the outside of the flare comes out so far, there's another inch that sticks out, and it's like a black piece that goes down and becomes the mud flap because of the wide tires, right? So he's going to have a little bit of black, but it's minimal, and it'll kind of match with the handles and around the window and what have you, right? So I think that'll look pretty good. And then the customer, he's the guy that originally, we were going to do the whole bumper one color with the truck, and then he said, we'll do these black. Would have been easier for me to paint the whole thing, but because we're going to leave the black grille and the door handles, and oh, he also has like, they look like rock sliders, but they're like a running board, and those are also black. So there's just a few things of black, one on the front, one on the back being the plastics, the sliders, smoke things above, what do you call them, the rain guards. You know, so there'll be a little bit of black. And then the windows, they're not really tinted. He's in a province where you can't really do crazy tinting, so this is what it is. You can see the front glasses aren't tinted at all, but they appear like they are from the side normally because the back is tinted. But I don't know if it's tint or if it's in the glass itself. But anyway, I don't really care. That's not my deal. So about the truck, it's an F350, 2006. The back's blocked, but it's got the links, the anti-twist, whatever you call them. I'm not a truck guy, so it is what it is. And the front, to keep the axle and steering and everything correct, all that stuff is something else. Zero body lift, no body lift whatsoever. It's all suspension and relocating suspension or what have you. And the reason this truck is done this way, I mean, I'm in Ontario, but this is not an Ontario truck. It's from a different province. They're not allowed to do stuff unless the stuff could be had by the factory and this sort of thing. You got to really watch the rules there. So this truck was built in such a way that there's no body lift whatsoever. 36-inch tires. And I think there's a gray area because I don't know what you could order for tires, but he's got the flares that come out to the side of the tire. That is in their rule book. And then he's got little like rain extensions, like a mud flap that goes down. And anyway, everything on this truck was built for that province so that he wouldn't be bothered with it because, hey, 1 ton, right? I think, now I know in my province, you're good for 1/2 ton and 3/4, but you got to safety your vehicle every year. And if you haul a trailer, but if you're 1 ton or more, I think you also have to do that. Now, I don't know how that works for this guy's province, but this will go through their safety, and I was told it had. So if you live in the province that you can guess I'm talking about, and you're mad because I can't have a lifted truck, and I can't do this, and I can't do that, yeah, but you're going to spend more money to do it, right? The blocks and the cheats don't work. If you could walk into Ford and say, this is the front end and this is, so like, I don't know what he did with that arm down there that moves all the suspension down, but It could be F450 for all I know. Like, I don't know what he did, but read the rules, look at them, and if you could have ordered it from Ford to some degree, you're okay. Now, the tires are too wide, but the flares should take care of that. He does have his other set of tires, which, only come to here. But how high is the truck? Well, there's a 6-foot step ladder, and there's the truck. My booth is 10 feet tall, and this truck is, it's in here. I mean, if I put this, right around my face level, well, this is me standing normal looking into the truck. So my eyes are about here, right? So this is a pretty tall truck. It's got a 6-liter diesel and a 6-speed transmission. But the 6-liter Ford truck diesel is long gone, and it has some kind of industrial block with a bunch of other gibberish. And basically they line honed it, and from what I understand, aftermarket rotating assembly all the way up. I can't tell you what was spent on it because I don't discuss finances on these videos too much. But it was enough money that 5 years ago you could have bought a new half-ton. Let's just put it that way. So, great big crazy turbo, computer stuff. One cool feature, though, that I will talk about, I wonder if we can see it under the truck. No, I'm not going to be able to get in there. Anyway, it has what they call a redhead steering box. So from what I understand, from what I was told, they build these redhead steering, makes these steering boxes for guys that do big trucks. Because if you've ever driven a jacked up truck or a big truck or a heavy truck in any way, you put bigger tires, you change them in any way, and things get weird. But when you get in this F350, the way it is, and you go down the highway, and he told me to try it, and I'm skeptical, so I did. You go through the gears, the clutch is really nice. Something about a double something clutch. I don't know which one he's got in it. If people want to know and they ask, I can ask and put it in the comments. But it's a 6-speed, so the ZF6 truck. And something was done to the clutch. The transmission's been gone through, and I think he said they put stuff in there to beef it all up. Rebuilt transfer case, diffs have been gone through. So all that, I mean, that's all 1.25 ton, I think he said the diffs are. So that's all been gone through. But the engine is... The way he described it, it sounded to me a lot like when guys describe building their hot rod engines. They talk about the 440 and, you can get like the Merlin and Mallory rotating assemblies for various engines and rods. And like basically this engine, the block came from Ford. All the guts are something else. Great big Banks turbo kit. There's a computer to run the injectors and what have you, but he's got a tune in this where there's plenty of power, but the power is a little up in the 2000 RPM range, like in the high 2000s. So when you're driving in the low 2000s, this thing has a lot of pull, but you can drive it in traffic. It's not going to take off on you. But if you get it out and bring her up into that 25 plus range, this thing kind of wakes up and turns into a muscle car. And I was skeptic, but I tried it, and I did about, say, 60K in third, went to shift and thought, oh, wait, he told me not to. I gave her a little more. Yeah, this thing moves. I was shocked. This thing can really move. So, yeah, if you put money into things, it's pretty cool. The thing drives like a brand new half-ton when you're driving it because of that steering box that's in there. And again, I think he called it the redhead steering box. He's got a big, crazy double, whatever you call it, clutch. It's super soft on your foot, but it works good. I mean, you can drive this truck easily. It's not... See, people build these big, giant trucks, and the reason I don't do a lot of these, they suck to drive, right? So a guy takes a square body Chevy, lifts it up, skyjacks it, body lifts it, giant tires, and everyone goes a little more. They kind of max everything out, right? So what happens is they drive like crap, and then they live in the back lawn, and then no one uses them, and 5 years later they sell it to their buddy who drives it for a summer, and it ends up on his back lawn. And the reason I say back lawn, this is what we got here. A lot of people don't have a shed to stuff this into for the winter. So sometimes they sit outside and they may have a tarp on it for the first year, and then the second year a cover, and then the third year they don't bother covering it at all. You've all driven by the houses and seen these trucks. But when you build a truck right, and this truck mechanically to me rides and drives like a brand new 2023 truck, in my opinion. This truck is drivable. So if you spend the money and do it right, build a good one, you can drive the vehicle every day. Now, the downside to this is if you're not very healthy, without a step, getting in and out of this sucks. But I'm 5'7". I can kind of get there. But when he's got the step on, no big deal. And I mean, the steps don't come too low, but you can always add a step to the step. And I mean, if you're going to the bush where you need more clearance than what you've got here, you're going to auger this thing in and never get it out again. That's the reality. That's not what this is. It's not an ATV. It's just a great big crazy truck that works good. Anyway, that's the video for today. Thought I'd share that. Going to wash it up, clean it all up, and I might do some filming when we're painting, but yeah, so the booth here stops above this plank. When I roll this ahead, I probably won't bother filming this at all because it's just so big. I'll be at it for 2 days cleaning and taping. So anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers.